Hello everyone, Karthik Chidambaram, CEO of DCKAP.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Abrahamsen, the Vice President of Social and Content at Hounds, and today we're going to have a conversation about B2B marketing.
Social and content is very interesting. Jeanette, great to see you here in DC. When it comes to B2B, I think social and content is a little laid back, right? I mean, it's not in the front of the game. How do we move forward? How do we get ahead?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things that are changing with the B2B marketing landscape, and part of it is really exciting for me because it goes back to a lot of the things that I've worked on previously in my career, and like storytelling and creating content that's more valuable. And I do love like advertisements that look cool and they're short, and I mean there's a place for that for sure, but that's more traditionally seen in marketing for like B2C. Mm-hmm. And so when we're considering like a B2B type of marketing initiative, I think that one of the things I'm seeing increase a lot more, which I really like, is that there's more valuable conversations. Like even the conversation we're having today, mm-hmm. hopefully will benefit people who are watching it and they'll learn, and it's less of a hard sell and more of a way that we can look at our relationships as partnerships and look at it as teaching one another, as opposed to just trying to be aggressive about the hard sell. I think that's the biggest change that I'm seeing. And I think it's, as on my personal standpoint, like I enjoy that better.
So in terms of producing that content, I think that's the hard part, right? I mean, I think everybody understands that content is king.
Yeah.
And you got to be on some of these big social channels, especially if you're a distributor or even if you're doing trade work. You need to be on those channels. But how do you produce that content, right? So what do you think distributors should do? What do you think B2B companies should do? Do they hire a content team to produce it, or how is that produced, and what are your thoughts there?
So I think it's important when we look at content to break it down into different types of content. Mm-hmm. There's the highly polished type of conversations, like the one we're having right now. We're sitting here, like obviously we were chatting earlier, and that was a much more like natural chat. This is something that's a little staged. I mean, obviously we're trying to be as authentic as possible, but we're using nicer cameras, and that's one type of content. And I like that type of content. There's a place for that type of content, especially in like the thought leadership world. I think that's a really appropriate type of content, similar to like the podcasts that are now video podcasts, which are really like tend to be nicer quality interviews like what we're doing right now that will hopefully be viewed by people who are looking to grow in different innovation or in different areas. And it's more of a broader thought leadership type of topic. But then there's other type of content, like last week we were in Vegas at the World of Concrete event, and we were shooting a lot of vertical content on our phones. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just because that's faster. Mm-hmm. It's faster to shoot, it's faster to edit, we're faster to get it up on any social platform. We don't have to edit it on our big computers. But it's also like the look and feel of it is more authentic and it's more intimate. And there's different types of vertical video content that you can produce that might be more appropriate for like the urgency that you get at an event, because you want it to go up that day. We're here right now, we're live, this is behind the scenes type of content, as opposed to this, which is like more evergreen. And of course, things will change and things will evolve. But what we're talking about today is it's a little less urgent than the type of event coverage. And so in that case, I would think about using your phone. And I think there are a lot of people who work for distributors and work for manufacturers that have phones in their pocket at these events. So like utilize the people that are there to take their cameras out to shoot video of one another, or also to shoot them of themselves. And so we do a lot of like selfie video. So we'll take our phones out. I just did this last week, but we do it at every event where I'll take my phone out, I put it on the selfie camera, and I'm like, hi, I'm Jeanette, I'm here at this event. This is what we're learning, this is what we're seeing. And that's a different type of content, not just because it's a lot faster to produce, but it's for a different purpose. It's the urgency, but there's also an intimacy and an authenticity with it not being as polished. And so there's that type of content when you're looking at what type of content do you produce? But then there's also like tutorials. Mm-hmm. There's how do I use these products? How do I install these things? And that's for a completely different purpose. And like in the app, the Hounds app that we run, that is everywhere in our app. That is what most of the people post, is content that's teaching you how to solve a problem, teaching you how to do an install. And right now it's a lot of user-generated content. There's tradespeople creating that content, but I see a really big opportunity for distributors and for manufacturers to create that type of content to be a resource to their customers. And so that's a big gap that I'm seeing. And they could join these social platforms for free, make free accounts, and just share this content, write some descriptions so that it's easy to search for and find it and discover it and use it and become that resource through that content. So I think that there's so many different types of content that you have to understand, like, what's the purpose? What are you using this for? And then you can decide, like, how do we shoot this? And how do we produce this? And then you can make plans to ensure that that's an efficient workflow for whatever purpose that you have for those, where that content is going.
I also think you got to be vulnerable, so don't think too much, right? So sometimes, hey, it's hard to be in front of a camera, and I know it's intimidating for a lot of people, and it was for me as well. But like you said, the tools are available today. Phone make it very easier. You have a nice iPhone, you can shoot real great content with it. So one thing I started doing, again, I was shy when I was starting to do content myself, and I thought, okay, let me just do it. So what, right? So okay, I put it out there, it's not good. So what, and then you see, over a period of time, it really gets better. And recently, another thing I did is I got the DJI mic, and that plugs in real well. So the quality is good. Sometimes, people ask me, hey, where did you shoot it? You have a professional video crew? No, it's just a selfie stick, like what you're talking about. But I agree with you. I think a lot of distributors can do that, and I think the people who do that can definitely be ahead of the game, because at least in this industry we work in, I don't see a lot of people producing that kind of content, definitely on the distribution side of things. So what are your thoughts there?
I love this question because I was recently visiting a bunch of different supply houses when we were doing research about how to better partner with distributors. And we wanted to go into the will call and learn from the people that are working behind the counter and kind of identify like different opportunities. And at the time, our goal wasn't necessarily to like go get them to create content for themselves. But as we were there, we were realizing that people that are there at will call, they get so many questions. We were watching them answer the phone, and we were watching them answering emails, and people would come up to the counter, and they have so much experience and knowledge. And I was thinking, what a shame that this content isn't being captured and distributed in a way that's searchable. And so I would really, really encourage any distributors to look at those people who are already trained to talk about this. They're already doing it every day, and scale that in a digital way so that more people can benefit from that subject matter expertise. And not everybody's going to want to go on camera. And I think it's great that like you're an early adopter and you're you feel more comfortable, or at least you can put yourself in that, you're not in your comfort zone. You can do those things. And I totally get that not everybody is going to be the first one to line up, but you do have people in your company that might be more comfortable with that. It tends to be some of maybe the younger people, maybe the digital natives, but not always. There are a lot of people who I've seen who are just like ready to jump in, and I say start with them. So start with the people who want to actually do it, and maybe plant that seed and put that thought in their head, like create this content today, like maybe every single day. Maybe people are asking you a question over and over again, and identify like this is a frequently asked question. I'm going to take my phone out, put on selfie mode, I'm going to introduce myself, tell them what distributor branch I work at, and then say, today I'm getting a lot of people asking me about this, and I want to share this solution or this tip, or this answer to this frequently asked questions. Take 60 seconds out of your day, upload it to your social platforms, and there are a lot of different ways that you can publish that. It could be that worker's individual personal account that they can then connect to the company account. And that's available in a lot of different social platforms. Or it could be like you can choose somebody to say you're posting on behalf of the brand, or you're posting on behalf of the branch. And every single person who posts is gonna go on our main account. So you can decide that depending on how risky you wanna be. I love just being like, put it all out there. Upload all of those faces from your company, humanize your brand. But I get it, like not everybody's ready for that. And so at the very least, empower your workers to be able to share their subject matter expertise, because they already know it. They're already doing this every day. And that's not something that takes that much time. And even if you mess up and then try to reshoot, like we've all been there. But I think one of the funny things with like the technological advancements, like our cameras on our phones have gotten better and better, but the expectation for the quality of the visuals is actually lower. Like people are very forgiving. And it was funny because we're here today with a lot of people who I've worked with in the past with video, and back in the day it was like, oh, that headroom has to be perfect, or this lighting has to be perfect, and everything has to be polished and refined. But the wonderful thing about cell phones and the wonderful thing about social media platforms is that it doesn't have to be perfect. And I think actually it being imperfect gives it more authenticity, which actually makes it more effective.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? So totally relate to that. And I think, yeah, I mean, sometimes, when you strive for perfection on a video, it never happens. A well-shot video, everything is great, but still you can find mistakes with that, right? So totally relate with that. Another thing I also think, right? So even if you don't want to show your face out there, you don't want to be on camera, like you talked about, this is a frequently asked question. A customer walks into a store, this is the problem. So one thing I like to do is, hey, if one customer has this problem, he or she does not know how this product works, then I'm pretty sure there are like at least 10 or 100 other people out there who have the same problem. So like you said, you can just shoot a video, or it can even be on a Zoom thing, because Zoom makes it easy. Right? So you just record on Zoom, and then, hey, this is the problem, and this is the question you have, and how do you solve this? And then put that video up on YouTube. And then that can be a great resource as well. And bang, you produce great content that way, and that can become a repository over a period of time.
And it doesn't just have to be video. I like video, and I think that resonates with people for the humanizing your brand way. I like the video, but I know that can be intimidating. But even just sharing like text, like people do that a lot in our app. People will just put like, hey, I have this question, or hey, I have this solution, and it's just a post that has text on it, and that's searchable, and people can find it. And there are forums like Reddit. I mean, there's a lot of text, and that's okay too. That's great content also. I would always encourage video and photos because I think it's more engaging, and people tend to resonate with that. And especially if you're demonstrating a product, it's helpful for them to also understand, how do I do this, and they can follow along. But you can do text as well. And one of the things I was talking to with some of our social media influencers is that they are experts at being on camera. They're not just like professional tradespeople, but that's what they do. And so if you're a distributor and you maybe want to get into content, but maybe you're like not ready to make it yourself, then I would definitely say like reach out to the people that already have a following. Those are already your target audiences, and they can create it for you on your behalf and explain your brand. And so there are a lot of options out there. And I think one of the worst options is just like closing your eyes and pretending like it's not a thing.
And don't do anything. That's the worst option. I totally agree, right? And I like the text part too, because I think writing helps. And I would think everybody is a writer. They need to write. You like it or not, you write. And someday even if nobody reads it, you can read it. And, it'll help you one way or the other. And as you know, it really helps with content generation and SEO, right? I mean, you write something, people search for it, and your writing comes up, and then that's also a way to promote your brand.
Yep, 100%. And that was something else that we talked about earlier today. I was talking to a distributor because they didn't understand or didn't realize that the social media content also boosts the SEO for their websites. Because a lot of them were saying, well, I have a website, why do I need social media too? And at the very least, it helps your SEO because then your brand is being crawled on different platforms, and it helps people find you no matter what. And I think that was one of the other topics that I heard a lot, like, why do I need social if I already have a website? And the other thing that social media does is allow for not just one-way communication, but multiple back and forth. And then other people can see those questions. So even if I'm just coming into a social platform to look at other people's posts, I might see someone ask the question that I already have that question, and then see maybe the distributor representative answered it. And so there's so often that you feel like with a website, it's important, you have to have it. But now social media is like the same. There's the credibility there, And you kind of have to do it because the younger generation that's coming in expects that you have a presence and that you're there. That's like a customer service thing at this point as well.
At DCKAP, we make systems talk to each other for manufacturers and distributors. What does TradeHound do?
Oh yeah, Hounds is, it actually started as a social media app. So 6 years ago, it was really just a social community of professional tradespeople. So our CTO, who was one of the co-founders, said that he founded it because there was no like digital home for the worker. And so that's really the heart and soul of the app, is just an organic community of people who want to talk to others who are experiencing the same things that they are experiencing at work. Maybe they want to show off their work that they did that day, get feedback. How could I do better at this? Or I have this problem and I don't know how to solve it. Like, how do I fix this issue? And then that just grew like on its own. And then it has been becoming more of a marketplace in this recent year, and I'm very excited about where it's heading because Sparks IQ acquired Hounds in September of 2023, and the reason that we did that was because Sparks IQ serves distributors and manufacturers, and we realized that this would be like a win-win-win for everybody because the tradespeople on there don't only need advice from one another. They need advice from the distributors. They need advice from the manufacturers. They want to learn more about their craft, and they also want to buy the products that they need because they're sick of going to like 5 different websites to order the materials that they need to buy. So we've started launching some pilot programs around the country, and they've been going well. So I think we're going to be launching nationwide here in the next couple of months with a supply house map that will allow users to also search for products at distributor branches near them. Which is great because then it's a solution for them. It's a way for distributors to get in front of new customers that may not have known that they were in that area. It also helps solve the search problem and the data problem that a lot of the distributors are facing right now. They're all like investing in their websites, and then they're trying to do e-commerce, and it's just like, it's a battle to be able to kind of chase the innovation and how quickly things are happening. And so we've embraced AI for a lot of these solutions, and we're working with the distributors and IDEA, for example, to really bring the data together to solve a lot of the problems that the tradespeople were facing. And because the tradespeople were facing the problem, it was making it harder for them to buy from distributors. So that was negatively affecting distributors and manufacturers. So now it's become just a resource for everyone in the entire construction ecosystem.
Great solution for tradespeople, ecosystem for construction. Thank you so much, Jeanette. Great chatting with you.
Thank you. It was great to meet you.